Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I want to share something I picked up from Bob Goff. Yeah, he's my friend. We've chatted on the phone. He was in Africa when I got a hold of him the one time. It's kind of funny. He says, if you can't hear the voice of God, it's time to carve out a quiet place in your life. How are you at hearing from God? Now, I'll admit, I do believe God's spoken to me. Sometimes when I'm really trying and I'm reading the Bible and I'm in a quiet place, and sometimes I'm just driving the car. I can't explain it. Sometimes that happens. But I love what it says about Jesus in Mark's Gospel, chapter 1, verse 35. Before daybreak the next morning, Jesus got up and went out to an isolated place to pray. I do need some quiet spots, okay? And I have one. Mine now is in our living room. I have my chair. It's a comfortable place. There's some other places, sometimes here. If I'm fasting, a lot of times I like to pray in the sanctuary here and just walk. And yeah, it's cool. But we've got to carve that out. It doesn't just happen often by accident. And when I'm preparing a message, I really need peace and quiet. And I turn on fans, I turn on background noise, I turn on all kinds of stuff if I think there's going to be distractions, because I just need to be able to focus. Do you get that? Bob Goff says that back when he was in college, and I think it was in law school, yeah, but he said he went to a nearby university that had a medical school and loads of crowded rooms. It seemed that wherever he went, people were laughing or talking or rifling through their school papers and whatever. And sometimes you just need quiet. And so what he said he did was he walked down the stairs to the basement level where he found an incredibly quiet spot. He said it smelled a little bit weird, but that was okay. It was stuffy, but he's grateful to have solitude. I hope you have that. You know, sometimes you get quiet, you can hear the birds sing. Sometimes for me, even in the car, most of the time when I'm driving to church now, I'm driving here to preach on a Sunday morning, when I'm recording on a Friday, a Tuesday morning when I'm preaching. And do you know what I do most of the time? I leave the radio off. Oh, I might want to listen to this. It's like, no, I want the radio off. I want to experience just a little quiet with Jesus. Well, I've got my alarm going off over here. There we go. That's off. So here's what Goff goes on to say. After about a month of cramming for exams, he said, where it's dead quiet. Someone with a name tag on their white jacket asked me what I was doing there and if I had permission to be there. And he said, I made a rousing argument, he's studying to be a lawyer, about how this place was a state school and I was a taxpayer, or would be someday when he got out of school, and that the room was empty and I needed a quiet spot, so I should be allowed to stay. When I finished, the guy pointed to a sign on a door, shook his head, and left. I'd been studying for a month next door to a morgue. A morgue, as Sean Connery would say. This explained a few things to Goff. But folks, it doesn't matter where you got to get to. Sometimes the room can be too loud. And sometimes there is just so much noise and clutter in our external world, and it comes into our internal world. And God's not usually going to shout. And he leads us beside quiet waters, but he doesn't force us to go there. And so today I just want to challenge you to quiet yourself. Whatever's going to work for you. There are centering prayers. Sometimes I just say the name of Jesus until I sense the presence of Jesus. There's all sorts of different things that you can do, but I encourage you to quiet your heart. Whatever it takes. And may you hear from God. May you hear by His Spirit. May you hear through His Word. But may Jesus speak to you today. I really believe He wants to speak to you more than you want to hear from Him. God bless you. Have a great week.